Good morning, good day. Dobrodošli, as I just wrote in the chat window. I'm gonna be in Croatia in 2 days. That's why. Yeah, welcome. It's Thursday and welcome hay fever. It just hit me so hard. So I hope I'm really glad that the quality of my webcam isn't that great, because otherwise you would see my red eyes. I just keep on sneezing, and yeah, I gotta do something about this. But this tells us that summer is finally here. And as always, we seem to have these extremes. So yesterday was the hottest day of the year, where last week I still wore a warm jacket, and now it's extremely hot. In here, we've got nice 27 degrees Celsius. Wow. And we want to work on a little project that actually works better the more sun we have. So the better the weather is, the more successful this project is going to be. Why that? Well, so what I'm doing here is a project that I started last week, and I quickly want to recap, but not go into too much detail, because you can find all the videos that I do on YouTube. They're archived there. And let me maybe put that on the chat window, if I'm able to highlight this. There we go, into the chat window. So this is where you can find the archived streams. There's only been one, which was last week. So to recap, what am I doing here? I noticed that I've got, as part of my daily routine in the morning, I'm checking various things, partially on my phone, partially on the iPad or on the computer. And that involves, number one, what is the workout at my gym today? I'm curious about that. I want to know what's going on there. Maybe I'm gonna sign up. Then the second thing is, I want to know how much energy are my solar panels producing. Number three, I want to know what is the charge state of my vehicle, of my electric vehicle. And number four, should learn to count to 4. Number 4, how many pellets or wood pellets are left as supplies in the basement in order to power my central heating unit. So these are 4 things that I regularly check. And there may be other things like the weather and so on. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have all of this in just one place? So what I want to build is kind of a dashboard that I just go to in the morning, and in my mind, I imagine that there would be, of course, a big LCD screen in the kitchen that constantly shows me all the infos, but I'm not sure if my wife agrees. But anyway, I want to build a little website that shows me, well, what is the current state of the solar panels? How much energy are they producing? What is the workout that's currently going on? What is the charge state of the car? What about the supplies? And then maybe even add smart stuff like, okay, I see that the solar panels are producing more than I can consume, so turn on the charger of the car. Something like this. That's the extended plan. And in the first part, I kind of explained what I'm going to do, and the result was this diagram here as you saw it. So 1.5 are different sources. The sources are contributing data in form of JSON, and all of this is then aggregated using Azure functions, and it's going to be stored in a table storage in Azure. None of this exists yet though. This is what I'm going to build. And whenever something changes, I want to show that on a website, and that website I think should be a static site, so it should be regenerated whenever new data arrives. That's the big plan, and that's what we want to continue. And in the first part, I got a bit stuck, because here's what's happened. I thought I'm going to start by implementing the very first source here, and I thought, let's start with something that is trivial, that is easy, and that was getting the current workout. And so if I go to the gym's website, I can see here workout of the day, and there it is. So this is the text that I wanted to extract. And I thought, well, this would just be simple screen scraping here. And I did something similar in the past, but meanwhile, they changed the website. And what we learned last week by looking at this page's sources, that what is being generated here is actually dynamic content. So this is not part of the HTML, but instead it's running some JavaScript that dynamically returns that and embeds it into the website. And this requires an API key to go to a third-party website and retrieve it there. And we kind of tried various things to work around this. And the consensus was that, yeah, maybe I should ask the owner whether I'm allowed to use that key. Now, I did that. I talked to the owner of the gym and he was like, yeah, sure, no problem, you can do that. But really, I found out that it's not necessary. And the reason why I'm kind of hesitant to use that key in there is that I don't want to put the key into my code, and I don't want to be in danger of maybe putting that on GitHub or anything. And there's maybe legal limitations, how many people can use that key. So long story short, I found an alternative, because turns out that what they are using here in order to display this is what we find here. It's called Beyond the Whiteboard, and Beyond the Whiteboard has got a list of all gyms, and they have got a public website where I could just search for that particular gym, and it's got a fixed URL here. So it's 4348-CrossFit Rosenheim. And if I go there, it's always giving me a plain vanilla HTML page with the current workout of the day. So from here, screen scraping should be straightforward, should be. Well, this is where we're going to continue today. So this is the page that we're looking on. Let me refresh that. And we want to get all of the diffs that are in here that contain the workout information. So you see there's stuff in there like back squat, and what do we have down there? Chin over bar hold. All right, so I want to extract that, remove all the HTML text, and possibly format that. I did a bit of research and I tried something, so we're not stuck again with regexes today. So here's what I found. Let me see, where is this? So the first thing I did is I, of course, showed the source of the page, and I then took that source. Here it is. I just pasted it in here. You see that's the source of that website here, that particular page. A lot going on in there. And then I just used, where is it? There it is. I just used the web dev tools to figure out what are we looking at here. So I selected this here, I think. And I found that, well, if we look down here, there's a div that has got a class called gym tracks. Then they have got different tracks. I'm only interested in the first track, in the one that is open by default. The other one is the gymnastics track. I don't want to read that. And then we have got, let me highlight this one here. So somewhere in there, where is this here? I want to find this here. There we have it. So here it is. You see, this is what we're looking for. It starts with a div class event workout pull left. And if I select this, it highlights exactly the area up there that I'm interested in. This is true for all the divs down there. So they all start with the same event workout pull left. So I used this as a marker and thought maybe we're going to search for this and we can split the HTML source. So that's what I have here. Because I'm really bad at regular expressions, I used this little tool here. I tried different ones, but this one worked best for me, regex 101. And there's another one, which is called regexstorm.net. I just verified that the results are the same, and they are. So this one here, you can just paste the HTML source in this case, or whatever text you want to run the regex on. And then you start typing here, and it gives you feedback what you're looking for, and says this. I have here this expression that I put there. The dot plus question mark says I want to match every character, at least one, and the question mark says it should not be nested. And then it's going to end with a /div, and the start is this event workout pull left. And if I run this, it immediately gives me feedback, and it says Here we've got our match information, and it seems like we've got one match here. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5 in total, which seems to be correct. So we've got 1, 2, 3. I don't know why we have 5. I only see 3 here. Maybe I haven't updated it. That could well be. Yeah, I haven't. So that's still the source code from yesterday. Let's fix that. Let's just verify that this regex is really working. Let's copy this here. Put this in there. Processing. Yeah, now we got 3 matches. That's cool. And the same over there. Let's verify. So this now returns 3 matches. I think this one is even better. You can look at a table and you see what's in there. So here are the matches. And that's exactly what we want. And now we will have to strip out the HTML. So let's use this as a starting point. Let's go over to Visual Studio. And in here, I created a helper library called sources support. It's a .NET standard library. And here's a method that's called get raw WOD async. I know, is this still a thing? Are people still using async as a suffix for async methods? Meanwhile, I'm kind of convinced that we could omit that because everything is async these days. Let's keep it there for now. And we see this is our regular expression now. This is the old one that I used originally. Now I gotta double check that I'm using the right settings here. So we want ignore case, single line and multi-line. So what the single line does is, I just learned that the other day, single line means that the dot up here, that should match a new line character, like a \n, \r. But can I remove the multi-line? Let's try what happens. Because that doesn't seem to make sense to have single line and multi-line. Yeah, so that's better. So we want ignore case and single line. That seem to be the settings that we want here. Ignore case and single line. And our regex, I'm gonna comment that out here a bit. Use this one. This is what I need here. Paste this over there. Probably gotta escape things here. So last time I struggled typing a backspace because I'm running this in parallels, and I found it. Believe it or not, I forgot again how to type it. So it's Control-Alt, but it's gotta be the. You must be kidding me here. I'm just gonna copy it. That's insane. And now it's a key combination on the right hand side. So the magic was that it wouldn't work with the Control and Shift and whatever keys on the left hand side of the keyboard, but the right hand side would work. But I'm not going to bother with that for now. So here we are. Let's look for this here. That's div class event workout pull left. Then we have got our match in parentheses, and then it ends with a div. So I gotta escape the backslash. How would I escape that? With double backslash, I presume. Like that. Looks good. So this should now give us the matches that we need. And everybody should have tests. So do I. Let's give it a try. Let's debug this test so we don't have to run this in the function all the time. We can quickly verify that it's hopefully working now. See what this does. So there we have it. Do we have the page content? The page content is there. Let's see what this does. Match success is true. Wow, that's good. Now let's find what it returns. HTML what? Let's zoom in here. Yep, that's exactly what we expected to get back. Great. So we can take it from here. That seems to work. Now, this is not just one group that we're looking for. We saw that there are multiple groups, so we need to process all of them, but let's just use the first one for now. The next step here is to get rid of the HTML text, because what I want to do is I want to convert that into just plain text. After all, we're going to return this through JSON. I could also keep the HTML in there, but I'm not sure if the client is capable of displaying HTML, so let's just remove it if we can. And instead of my very simple regex there, I Googled a bit and I found that people who are way smarter than me when it comes to regular expressions, they wrote some pretty long helper methods like this one here that's supposed to strip HTML from some input text. I'm just going to use that. Just going to copy that here and see what we can do with that. Let's copy this. And we're going to put this in here. I don't want to show a message box or anything. And actually, I don't think I want to try catch in there at all. It should just fail. Let it fail if something goes wrong. So what is this doing? It's replacing all \r. It's replacing, oh, that's simple replacements for now. Well, it doesn't really, does it? Yeah, it just removes the line breaks. So I'm hoping that this here is going to replace something like the tag br or the paragraph tag with actual carriage return line feeds, so that we get some sort of formatting and not just a long string of text. So what's wrong here? regex.replace. Object is unset. So is this, I'm just wondering, is this C# after all? I haven't actually looked at that. I just assumed that it would be C#. Yeah, system text regular expressions. Could be Java. No, it's C#. Good. So let's see what we have here. regex.replace. That looks wrong. So what? My God, this method is long. regex.replace. Okay, so that's good. What is the problem here? An object reference is required for the regex.re. What? An object reference? No, it's not. Remove repeating spaces because browsers ignore them. What is missing there? What did I remove? I removed something, did I? Where's that? Why did it not copy this? Because browsers ignore them. Why did it not paste that? Not there. It's funny. Is it happy? That's weird. Okay, so this is this. We have removed the header. Well, we're not going to have a header. We're not going to have any scripts, but anyway. Well, let's just try what it does. All right, that's it. Return result. What's this paren? Curly brace there? Do we need this? No, we don't. This is this. This is really long. Well, that should be it. Now it's happy. So let's give this a try here, and if we know by now that we're matching all of this, and now let's just use this strip. What is it called? Strip HTML. Oh, it's a private method. Wow. That is a static string and fix the casing. I don't like that. Static string strip HTML. Okay. Strip HTML from the raw WOD. Let's see what we get. Put a breakpoint in there. I'm gonna give it another try. Debug selected tests. And if this works, then we can iterate over all of the matching groups and then use this from within the function where it actually belongs. Let's look at this. It apparently removed everything. I'm not quite sure if it handled the line breaks. Let's see what we can do there. Visual Studio Code. Let's quickly see what it's doing there. That's all one line. Well, anyway, I'm just gonna keep it there for now. And can always improve this later. So what is in there? If I look at the, where's the source? There it is. Oh, so there's really nothing in there. That's interesting. So they only use line breaks in there. They really only use line breaks. And they don't have any breaks in there, and that's why we don't get anything. And this method is, this function, just removing everything. That's why. Maybe I want to get rid of this. Maybe I don't want to. Let's give it a try. Just a quick one if this looks better, so that we keep the line breaks. What's going on? Result. Source.replace. And while we're at it, there's one last thing that I want to do here. Before returning this, return result.trim. Remove any leading white spaces. So when I started there last time, we had a bit of a discussion. Well, what's the difference between trying to just scrape the screen content from the HTML versus inspecting the HTML and kind of reverse engineering the key that is used to dynamically request the content and then directly request that content? I can't tell you legally what the difference is. I think screen scraping is it's a bit of a gray area. We could argue that I'm just kind of imitating a browser, so it would be okay to read that HTML, and as long as I'm using privately, I don't really see an issue. But I feel like going into the source and looking at these scripts, which have been minimized and they have been, they are meant to be, or not to be read by a human. They're meant to be complicated so that it's hard to understand what's going on. Just figure out, hey, there's a key hidden in there that we maybe have to decrypt somehow, even if it's just ROT 13 or something, and then we could go to this URL and request something. It's different from just taking the HTML, I think. So that's why I go with the screen scraping approach. That looks better, right? That does look better. I'm gonna go with that. That's good enough for me. So this is this part here. So we have, and I said we have to process more than just one group. So how do I know how many groups are in there? Match.groups. Just say for each group in match.groups, gotta iterate all of them. That group has got, what is this? What are we getting there? An object. What does groups return? A group collection. What is a group collection? You know what? If things are, sometimes I always want to avoid that, but really sometimes it's just like, why not just do that? Group index equals 0, group index lower than match.groups, length, count, group index plus plus. Let's do something. Why bother with these things here really? And we want to add a check here. If match.groups.count is lower than 0 or equal than 0, we don't have anything. What are we going to return there? Empty string. Return. Didn't find anything. That should work. Now for every, I'm just going to put this in there, right? That's it. What is this here? Yeah, this has to be cleaned up. So I explained this last time. Where is this code coming from? I did a demo about Azure, the artificial intelligence platform that we have on Azure, and I created, or tried to create an AI where I would just tell it, well, look, this is the workout, and you tell me whether I'm going to like it or not. And that was a fun project, but it stopped working the moment they changed the website. So ever since I haven't looked at it, but that's why I already had the code to extract all this, and so I can just reuse that. So we're gonna need I don't need all of this here. Really, this is pointless. I just need this part here. This is what we're looking for. So we get here the HTML using the group index. Get rid of the HTML tags because this is what we need here. Just this one here. And now what are we going to do with this? I guess I'm just going to return a list. And I don't think we need to. Yeah, we may need a logger if it can't reach that. Yes, let's keep the logger. So this is going to return a I'm going to return a list of string here, not just one string. Using system generic, collections generic, that's good. Well, that means we could just return an empty list in case it fails. That's also good because I didn't exactly like returning an empty string here because it didn't really indicate an error versus it didn't find anything. Let's do that. We're gonna have a text what's is a new list of string. Let's just do that. And here we're just gonna return that. And otherwise, let's put something in there. Probably simplify this here. looks better. And then the return value is text WODs. That should do it. Okay, returns a list of workouts in a plain text format. Okay, so let's do the following. I'm using HTTP client here. Is that a good thing? Yeah, but let's keep it for now. I was currently thinking whether I want to refactor this immediately and use a better alternative. I'm a big fan of using Flurl. If you haven't tried that, let me just have a look at it. That would be flurl.dev. And that's a very nice way of working with HTTP content. It's got this Fluent API where you can very easily specify what you want to send, what you want to receive, and it does JSON serialization and deserialization all in one step. I used this in actually 2 other projects, but yeah, here it's just getting that string and that's it. Period. No need to worry. Good. So that's our get raw WOD async helper here in that library, which is good. Let's verify that the tests are still passing. We can go there. And WOD.should, we're getting here really a WOD list now, and this list should not be empty. It should not be null or empty, actually. There we go. If you wonder what is this should here, because usually you would expect an assert in a test, should is a library that I added. It's called Fluent Assertions. And with Fluent Assertions, it's adding these extensions to all kinds of objects. And it allows you to have a very human readable way of expressing what you actually want to assert here. Let's just give this a try. And it succeeds. Good. So this was the implementation of the first source that we have here. Now let's go to the functions. Here's the function that is responsible for getting this workout information. It's a HTTP triggered function, and we find it at the, well, in our case, localhost and /API/WOD. That's where it's going to be hosted. And here we just gonna log what happens. So that brings me back to the logging. Did I say I need the logging or not? I'm not using it anywhere, am I? Yeah, I do. Could not find log information. HTTP request exception. We could catch that too. I think I should catch that. Let's surround this with a try catch here. And just log. We're gonna return also return that empty list in there. Log error. File to get page content. Just gonna drop the exception in there. So this is what can go wrong. I don't expect that regex to break, and I don't expect anything to go wrong down there. Good. Back here. No, back there. There we are. So we are getting, just change that. So that's the text. What's here? There are many of them. We're calling these functions. We're calling this function. It's extracting everything, and I want to return this here. So let's just verify that this function is working. And then we can talk about the JSON format that we're going to return here. I can run the functions locally. So what I'm running here is the actual functions environment that is exactly the same that is also running on Azure. It's not some sort of emulation, it's exactly the same thing. So I can be sure if it's working here, it's going to work up in the cloud. And here it's telling me the URL, localhost API/WOD. And last time I put this already into Postman here. We have it. I've got a collection here, get what. Let's see what it finds there. Firing this up. We see in the background something's happening. It's executing that method. And we are getting back an array of strings at the moment. I want to change that because where's the browser? Back to that diagram here. The JSON that I want to return should look something like this here. It should be a format that is the same for all sources, so that when displaying it, we can just iterate over it and display, well, whatever is in there without having any specific knowledge about whether, well, I'm going to display a workout, or I'm going to display solar panel information. It should just be, well, self-contained. So that means we could create, what could we create here? We could just do anonymous objects. We could create DTOs. I just wonder what is in there. We're always gonna have this. What is the data going to be? It's always gonna be ID, label, value. So this is something that might change later. Currently, I'm thinking that the content of what is returned there would always be text, but later we could extend that and saying, hey, this is supposed to be displayed as a, I don't know, a progress bar, or this is going to be displayed as an image, something like that. I don't know yet, but we could totally, let's create a DTO. Let's do that. I mean, we are in control here, so everything is C#. Just had the same discussion the other day, whether use DTOs versus anonymous objects. I was pro anonymous objects, but I was convinced that, well, if we have everything under control, then why not use that? Let's go ahead and create something. We need, where are you going to put that? So this sources support is only going to be used on the server. I'm just, you know what? I'm just going to add a new project here, put it in there. It's going to be a standard library. Standard library, let's add that. And this is going to be DTOs, plural. Well, I used functions, so let's use DTOs here. Let's put this there and we create that. Let's quickly go back here because I noticed something. Okay, maybe you saw it too. Here I'm getting a hint that I should fix something here. I try to see warnings as an error these days. If I build a project, I want it to be free of warnings. And the reason is that I worked in projects where there were a lot of warnings and it was hard to tell whether warning is actually something important or it's something that is, well, okay to ignore. Now, this is one of these cases where it's okay to ignore. So what it's complaining about here, it says, hey, you are using this HTTP request parameter. You put it there, but you're not using it. And it suggests to remove it, and this would trigger a warning. But you can't remove it because it's necessary to make this function HTTP triggered. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to suppress that. I'm going to add that to a suppression file and put it in there. And what it does now is it's going to add global suppression.cs, and we can justify here, say, well, this here is required parameter required by Azure functions, even if not used. So if I save this, now you see the warning is gone. Okay, now I'm happy. And we go back here, and this is gonna be, what are we gonna call that? So where's the browser? There it is. I want to build this object here. It's just gonna be a source DTO. Let's just call it source DTO. Source DTO. I don't understand why it's not renaming the file here. Source DTO should do that. So let's see, what do we have in there? I thought it should have an ID. Can't hurt. Let's put that in there. String ID. It's not really a complicated one. We're gonna have a timestamp in there. That's gonna be a date time offset. So this is always gonna be UTC timestamp. What does timestamp even mean? When it's been generated? Oh, I might want to rename that later. Timestamp UTC, we need a title in there. We need a we need an array of data elements. Now this is actually handy. So I'm gonna create a base class for these elements in there, and then I can add various implementations. So it's just going to be one to begin with, one that is simple, label and value, but then we can have others. Should always have a label, always these decisions. So here's going to be a property, which is going to be a list. Just going to put object there for now, and that's data items. Resolve that. And this is going to be data DTO, not DOT, day of the tentacle. Data, let's create that. Generate type in new file. Yes, please. That's good. So this is going to be a base data. This is the base. Let's rename that. So I wonder, is it going to be able to deserialize that? We'll see. Well, let's cross that bridge once we get there. So that's a base data DTO, and that has got, it again has an ID, string ID. Well, I guess that's it, right? It's got an ID, period. Should it always have a label? Now, if it's just an image, it wouldn't have a label. No, I think that's it. Just say it's an ID. And that's not meant to be used directly. And now let's create a concrete implementation of this. Add class, that's going to be a text data DTO. Base data DTO, and this one will have, what did I call it? Label, and it's going to have a value. There we go. Let's clean up. Looks good. That does look good. Now here's something that I typically always add to these kind of DTOs. I'm gonna override toString in here. Reason simply is that when I look at these in the debugger, I want to immediately see what's going on. I want to expand them and have a look at the properties in there or something. I just want to have a quick look. What is this item? And so let's just put this in there, and we say this is a source DTO, and we are looking at missing a parenthesis here. There we go. With an ID of ID with a timestamp stampy? No, with a timestamp of time stamp UTC, and with a title. I'm probably more interested in the title. With a title. So this allows me to have a quick look at this and immediately know, hey, this is what I'm looking at. This is maybe the item I'm searching for, or it's a different one. Let's get this in there. And we're gonna go back to the functions, add a dependency, add a reference to the DTO's project. There we go. And back to the function in here. Right. Now let's create that, and our result is a new source DTO. With an ID, so that would be workout of the day, with a title. We've got a timestamp UTC, which is for now going to be date time UTC now. It's a property. It is. And then we have got data items. Gotta create them. Let's go ahead and do that. Data items equals text WODs, and we're just gonna project them. Every workout becomes a new. These are gonna be, what did I call them? Text data DTO, yep. So they all have got an ID. What are these? What are they called in here? So they are different parts, really. Like 15-minute this, 10-minute this, and then that one. I think that would just be, I think they're always labeled like A, B, C, or I don't really care what they are. So this is just gonna be a, I don't know. Let's skip it for now. label for this one is, do they have labels? I think what I'm going to do here is I need to introduce some sort of counter. That's what I'm thinking. So let's do that. Can I do this in here? Can I go text WODs? Just use the array. What is this? So this is a list array dot index of. I guess I can do this directly, right? Text WODs index of. That should do it. So now I'm getting the parts. Maybe I want to use +1 here. Something like this. And then the label would be yeah, really similar. Part 1, part 2, part 3. And the value, that is going to be our, just whatever is in there. Just the text. So it's projecting these into data items. We can assign them in there if I convert them. So this is going to be a list of them. Oh yeah, now it should be happy. It's not. Yeah, great. Shouldn't that be possible by now? Or is that C#8? I thought there was a way of implicitly casting them, because really, I can cast them, right? I always can. Unless I go ahead, well, let's do the following. Let's just say what I want here is a list of base data DTO. Or I could either cast down there, or I could say can I the result, can I say here that I want a base data DTO? What's wrong now? List string does not contain a what? What am I doing? Select source result. That's a string and I want a base, and now it's happy. So now I tell it to actually return this base type instead of the concrete one, and it's happy down there. So let's see what we get. And we still have to handle the error case, of course. Set this. You think I should return the right thing? That would help. Okay, so then let's go ahead and fix let's handle the errors while we're there. So this isn't erroring, is it? It's not. Yeah, so this never creates an error. Fine. Then not. Okay. If there's no error, there's nothing to handle. Now we should get a proper formatted JSON here. Yep. That's good. That is good. You see our ID. That did not quite work out. So it puts the code in there. What did I forget? Is it just there? I did it for the, oh, I forgot the, there it is. I forgot the $sign there. There we go. That $sign, it really helps. Oh, that's this here. Right, so it could be that in there for the data items, we want to put the type of the data item that has been used. I'm going to put this in there. I'm going to do the following. I'm going to go in there. This one here. And we're going to put property in there. It's going to be a string. And that's going to be the DTO type. And this is something that every implementation has to set and has to return, so we know on the client what we're dealing with here. But this could just be get type.name. So what is it returning now? Is it returning base DTO, or is it going to return the concrete type? Let's try it. Yeah. So that works. It tells me this is text data DTO now. All right. So now the client has hopefully all the information it needs. We're not building the client yet, but we've got the first working source. That's good. Let's celebrate this by going in there, and we are looking at the dashboard. Got the changes, and I think I've got a work item for this one here. It's really big. Issues. Investigate ways of extracting WOD. Up. So we did this. Done. That's done. Let's close this one here. Let's go there. So this one closes number 6. And implement source. Yeah, we've got a screen scraping helper. I imported that. I have a test project. We call that, and we're returning JSON. Also done. This closes then also. Hello, computer. There it is. This closes number 2. At what source notation? Let's commit that. Yes, I'm pushing directly to master. I'm evil. Just me working on the project for now. Oh, you see here, there's an updated version of GitHub Desktop available. That's, as far as I know, it's gonna be 2.0, which is gonna add support for stashing in the UI, which is great. It's funny that I just looked for how to stash pending changes locally using GitHub Desktop, and it was not supported, and 2 days later they release an update. Well, thank you, GitHub. All right, so what are we going to do next? We'll go back here to this overview. 1 hour in, we've got one of these complete. I want to add one other source, just so it makes more sense to have this registry. But just for one source, I'm not going to do this. So let's add another one. And one I want to look at is solar. So this is one that I've been interested in for quite a while. Let's do this. We don't need convert HTML. We don't need regex anymore. Yep, leave it. Don't need the regex tester. We need this. There we go. So this is the next one. This is the one that I've really been waiting for. So I'm so curious about it. What we see here is, let me update that. What we see here is a view of, well, how much energy my solar installation is producing, right? And there's also a public version of that. So there's do we have it? There's a public page that displays similar information, just not as detailed. Well, if you know that URL, you can use that. It's not a secret. It shows what is the power generation and so on. So we could now go ahead and say, well, I want to have this as data in here, as data in there. So I could just, again, use screen scraping and try to extract things from there or from here. But really, there's a better way of doing that. And the better way involves using their API. So let's go and try that now. I want to go in there. We've got an admin section in there. Open that. Now I quickly got to switch here to my super secret screen, just to make sure that there's nothing in there that's not for everybody's eyes out there. There we have it. Main. There it is. That's good. So this is where I can configure the public URL. Nothing special about that. But down here, there's API access. So the portal is all German. Gonna translate that. This is API access. And in here, we can generate an API key. And that API key and the identifier of my installation, that will then help me to generate information of that installation directly using their web-based API, their RESTful API. And it's going to return everything in JSON format, I suppose. So this is what I want to try. I could probably just regenerate the IP. Let me at least try to hide the API key from you. I know it's not always going to work, and I can create another one. So bear with me for a second. I'm going to create one here, save this. But let me just copy that API key, and I'm going to close this here. Just a second, please. I'll be right back there. Just a few more clicks. There's this one, there's another one. Man, it's all over the place. This one. Oh yeah. Well, let me share my screen again here. There it is. Okay, so I generated that key, and now I want to try and use their APIs. And well, we need the documentation. So just another second, I need to go back there. And dealing with keys when doing a stream is always Always a challenge. Okay, but now, so here it is, and here we've got this. Well, that's some PDF. There we have it. That seems to be their documentation. There's a lot in there. But you know, before I forget it, let me switch over to Postman and store that key somewhere. I'm gonna need it there. So here's what I want to do. Go to my dashboard here. And you can configure environments in Postman, and environments allow you to store, well, among other things, variables. And I'm gonna add a global variable here. And that's gonna be the Solar Edge API key. Now let's move that over there so you can see it. I'm gonna paste that in there. And I wish there would be a way to mark this as a password or something like that, but it's not possible. So let's just save that, close it, and move Postman over here again. So this is stored. So if I put something into my clipboard by accident, the key isn't lost. Okay, so what do we have here? Let's just browse this document. Purpose and scope. Is that big enough? Zoom in a bit. To outline the API. Yeah, that's good. January 2019, that's pretty up to date. What can we do there? Get a list of sites. Yeah, so if I log in to the portal, I actually see 3 installations, not just mine, but 3. That's because I have access to a friend's solar installation, and we just said, well, we always have this kind of competition going on, who's producing more. And so I can see this one too. Then we can have details. Okay, we can get statistics using start and end dates apparently. Energy and power. All right, both of them could be interesting. They probably want to know what is the how many kilowatts are we currently delivering and how much has been produced, how many kilowatt hours. Detailed site power. Site energy, a power flow chart. Whoa, that's cool. I wonder if that's going to return image. See, this is one thing that I could then embed into the JSON. That would be nice. Storage, I don't have a storage. Site image, I don't think I've uploaded an image. Okay. Let's just see. It's returning JSON, XML, CSV. Oh, we want to request JSON. Cool. Okay, so it seems the API key is just provided via the URL. Good. That's easy. Daily limitations. What are the limitations? Use of monitoring is subject to a query limit of 300 requests for a specific account token. For each specific site from the same. Okay, so 300 requests per day. Well, fair enough. Yeah, no problem. So I don't think I'm gonna update that often. We'll see. Sites list. Sites list. I don't think I want to get the sites list. I only want a specific site. Let's see, what else is there? Site details. That looks good. Site details. I probably want to know details. Site ID details. Let's give that a try. Let's see what we get. So in theory, I should just be able to go here into Postman. I want to close that dashboard. Let's add a new one. It's going to be a get against what? HTTPS. Can I copy that? I don't want to type that. site. What was my site ID? That's the 414683. It's this one. And we need the details. And we need the API key. Where will exactly that? Let's get that. And it is indeed returning something in there. Name, account ID, peak power. You see peak power 9.86 kilowatts peak power. And online since 2017. So that delivers some details. Let's save that. I don't know if I need that, but it could be handy. So that's solar panels details. Let's save that in the dashboard collection. There we go. There it is. Now, let's try another one. Let's see what else is there. That's details, and I want something about power. Site data, start and end dates. Also, that's where I could see right down here, what is the daily production? Maybe that's what we want. I'm not sure yet. Go back there. What does it return? Return the energy production. Return the production start and end dates. I don't want that. I want to know the actual. I want to know the energy. Hey, Keith Nicholas, looking at the chat. Yeah, if you. Number one, if you know my key, you could hit it directly, but then believe me, I'm just going to rotate the key. But if you're saying you're going to hit that function, that endpoint, well, you could do that, but then I would argue that I'm probably going to hide that from you too. So either by picking a cryptic URL for that function or by really adding something like authentication. But don't be evil. Site energy. What is site data? Site energy. What do we have there? Hour, day. That looks good. Site energy. Returns the site energy measurements. What is this returning? Time, unit, day. Aggregation. So what is this? What does this return? The watt hours? Yeah, so that's already good. That returns me the energy, but what I really want to know is the this one here. How much have I produced versus yeah, how much have I produced? And this is what I want to know. Really, this is what I'm interested in. How much does it currently deliver? How much of that is currently being consumed and how much is delivered to the grid? Because this would allow me to say, well, what is delivered to the grid is 4 kilowatt more than what is going to the house, so I could start charging the car. These really are the values that I'm interested in. But this is still not what I'm looking for. Site energy, bulk conversion. That's time period. There must be something in there. Site power, there we go. That looks good. Site power in what? But that's also for, no, I don't want that. I don't want start, I just want a snapshot, the current values. So this is all with start and end time. Site overview. How much has been used? I tell you, it's going to be the last one, right? That's always what it is. Site power detailed. Again, start time, end time. Let's see what is in there. Date, value, consumption. Ah, this is interesting. So how much has been consumed? Yeah, that goes into the right direction. Self-consumption feed in. So let me think again. What is it that I want to achieve here? I want to know mainly I'm interested what does it currently deliver? That's really the main values that I'm interested in. And I'm interested in how much has it generated today. So this is something that call here, that looks like it's interesting. Side power detailed. Purchase, production, self-consumption. That looks good. Side, and this is energy detailed. Let's see what is in there. So power and energy. What does this contain? Production, consumption. I don't get it. What is the difference? So this is type production in watt hours, and up here we had what? Up here we had this is power. Oh, I get it. But that doesn't make sense because I don't purchase kilowatt, I purchase kilowatt hours. So why would the unit be watt up here? Side power flow. There we are. Look at this. Current power flow in what? From grid to load. Grid active current power. That's good. That's good. This is what we want. What's the URL? Site ID current power flow. There we go. Site ID. What is it? Current power flow. Current power flow. Send. Tomcat error. Current power, maybe it's case sensitive. Current power flow. Send. It is case sensitive. Who would have guessed that? Okay, so what do we have down there? We have got update refresh rate. What is update refresh rate? Response. Doesn't say. They haven't documented it. So we've got unit kilowatt grid active. So 2.64 is currently something that has got to do with the grid. So what do we have here? That doesn't quite match the values over here, does it? Try again. Send. Oh, there we go. Current power grid 4.5. Yep, this is what we have up there. It's constantly getting updated. What is load? Okay, load is what we are consuming, and the 4.07 we should have. Oh, there it is. PV active. Okay, so PV, this is what it's currently delivering. Load is what the house is using. Grid is what is going to the grid. I'd reckon that if we're pulling energy from the grid, these would be negative values, but I don't know, I can prove by now. Does it say in the documentation? It should, right? It's one of these things that should be there. Site current route, unit connections, the element providing power to the element consuming power. So does this mean it's going to turn it around if we are... That's weird. So what if, how would I read that? So I've got the connections here. I can actually look in there. I've got the connections here. from grid to load. So we're pulling energy into the house. And here I've got, oh, from load to grid. So it's not negative. It tells me where it's coming from and where it's going to. Okay, and depending on that, I gotta invert the numbers. They could have just added a negative number there, right? If it's loading from the grid, it's minus something, and otherwise it's plus, but they didn't. Okay, so this is good. This is good to start with. We want to use that. Let's save that puppy here. This is, let's save that in the dashboard. So this is solar panel current power. Save. I think this is good to begin with. We can use this to create another source. Looking at the time, yeah, so I think that's going to be it then. Let's close all documents and, well, what do we need? Got a WOD helper here. I think I might just create a, let's start with the function. Let's start with the function. We're going to create another function. I'm going to copy this one here. And that will be my source. Solar. Get there. Let's get solar. Why is that function 1? Public static class function source what? That's what I called it. Source what? And this here is source solar. Get solar, and this would be solar. Again, let's suppress this while we're there. And the justification is the same as there. I wonder if you could use a wildcard there, just say for whenever it's this parameter, just use the same type of suppression. Requesting solar data. Okay, so we probably gonna do, yeah, we're gonna do something similar here. So there's gonna be a solar helper in there where we could say get, what is this called? Current power? Get current power. Get current power async. It's gonna be in there, and that would return us, I can probably remove all of these here, and for now return a okay object result. Nothing in there for now. I know what that's gonna be. Let's see. So let's add this here. I get in there. Add a new class. And a new class, solar helpers. What did I call it? Get current power async. Let Visual Studio do it. There we go. Public static async task. It's gonna return something for sure. Like I said, I don't know what, but something has to be in there. And well, I think now I wanna add Flurl in there, because if we look at this here, this is rather complex JSON structures that are returned here. So I want to have a way of easily parsing that, and I think Flurl could help here. Let's just do that. We go in there, manage NuGet packages. I always find a reason to use Flurl. Flurl.http. There we go. And then I need to add this in here. I think what we're gonna need in here is, can we make this one here happy? Return null, just so the compiler isn't complaining anymore. So here's what we need. We're gonna need some sort of read-only string. That's gonna be our Solar Edge base URL. And that is the monitoring this one here. This is the base URL that we have. And what's the error? Cannot declare instance members in static class. Yeah, so let me think about this. Should this be a static class at all? I think for now it should. The reason why I'm contemplating here is that behind the scenes is going to use HTTP client. HTTP client is not meant to be reinstantiated constantly. So it should be reused. It was designed with reuse in mind. And on the other hand, I don't really worry about this because I'm not going to have many parallel executions. I'm not using functions here to scale out. Nobody else is going to use this endpoint other than me. But I'm using functions because I don't want to pay for server infrastructure running if nobody's hitting it. So I think this could well be static. Why not? Okay, then we're gonna need. Now it's getting interesting. We're gonna need a we're gonna need the API key in there. I'm gonna hide this. So I think the API key, I could introduce, if I plan ahead how am I going to handle this in Azure, I could introduce something like Key Vault. Maybe that's really where it should be if I want to make this super secure, but I think I'm going to put this into the app settings by the end of the day. So I'm going to have maybe locally we're going to use just a config file, really. Yeah, maybe I'm going to do that. Maybe I'm just going to use a config file locally. It's not that much of a problem. I can rotate the key. Locally, we could also use .NET Core Secret Manager, but let's not over-engineer that. Let's do like this. I'm going to make this here a public class Solar Helpers, which will get a constructor where we are somehow injecting that API key. I have to think where to get that from. And like I said, it's probably going to read it from the configuration when calling it from the functions. And while we're at it, why not make this one here a parameter too? So that's going to be the installation ID. So I could reuse that for other installations, not just mine. I'm going to have that in there. That's this one here. So we remove this one here. And that's going to be constant. And this is then, of course, no longer going to be static, but actually a member of this class. All right, they should be read-only. Is there a way to hide something in the debugger? I guess there is. Anybody know? Is there an easy way? Just reply there. Genzo0 rated the channel. Thank you. Let me see. Hide values from debugger. Visual Studio. Hide value in debugger. Use it to hide by placing the attribute debugger browsable. This one will be hidden. Debugger browsable. That's what we want. I wonder if I can apply it to a field. We'll see. Using system diagnostics. But of course I didn't want this, but I want that. Possible to edit there too? Nope. Well, I'm curious if this is going to work. All right, so here we are, get parameters. So what are we going to do here? Well, we've got the base URL, and now let's start using Flurl. And you do this by using the Flurl. What is it called? I gotta look it up. Flurl HTTP. Gotta resolve that. Configure. We set it up. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to configure the error handling in here. You can do this globally. And settings.onError, that should call a method like log HTTP error. For now, we're going to create that. No need for private. And in there, I'm just gonna log that. Oh, we said we wanted to have the iLogger if possible. I need to store that too. iLogger. This. There we go. If logger, if we have one, because that's required to pass one in, we could just log an error here saying log error. Let's just call HTTP error. They're really keeping it simple for now. HTTP call dot exception, right? So let's just log that. Well, we don't have any errors. It's all gonna work. So we're gonna configure this here. We have got the settings. Then we can set a timeout, set that globally. This is also kind of handy because then you don't have to handle the timeout on a per call basis. So timeout, and what's that going to be? Time spent from seconds, 20 seconds maybe. Does that sound reasonable? Give a call 20 seconds, that will already be pretty long, but I think that's fine. And so then I don't need this one here, by the way. So we have these. I could set a user agent if I wanted. I don't think we need one. And this here should of course go into the constructor up here. There we go. And now we can start using it in here. So the way this works now and is really elegant with this library. We could say I want to await something, and we are awaiting the base URL here. And like, how can you await a read-only string? Well, wait for it, because here I can now go and say append path segment. I gotta resolve that using Flurl. So it adds extension methods to the string that allow me to, well, call that string as a URL, which I think is phenomenal. That's super elegant. And I'm gonna add here, add path segment, get current power. I gotta look up what is that. So that's current power flow. Let's add that. Current power flow. That's what we're just gonna append there. And then can I add a query param? Set query params. Set query param, and what we want is, what is it called? API key. And the value would be API key. Let me assign something here. What are you complaining about? Oh, we are not doing anything with it yet. So we've got the query parameter, and then we could tell it to post something or receive something or get something. Here I'm simply trying to get whatever is there. I'm gonna receive. No, I'm a bit worried. Does this not work here? Let me try something. Receive. What is it called? Receive JSON async. Hello. What's wrong here? Public async task. So why did it find the append path segment? That's still there, right? Why is this not there? Receive JSON. So it's missing the extension methods to receive something. Why is that? Let me check something. Maybe I am using both of these here. Flurl and Flurl HTTP. That's good. What is wrong? So let me look at an example over here. Second monitor. Receive JSON. Should be there. URL does not contain a definition for receive JSON. Yeah, this one does. I don't get that. So I don't know what and why it's complaining now. So this one here does work, does it? And what we get here is a URL. That's fine. And the method that I'm looking for is, let me double check, is receive JSON. Post JSON async. There we go. So what's wrong with that? We are awaiting a string, appending something. Post async. You know, I'm just gonna call that here. Also, yeah, this is another thing while we're looking at that. You can also, you can use it to test all of this. You can test your calls without actually hitting that server. You can tell it, I'm gonna fake all of these HTTP calls, and it should respond with a 200. So you can verify that you handle everything correctly, which is another benefit there. Let's just see if I can do this here. Let's receive an object here. So it's happy with that, right? It doesn't complain. So the question is, what am I doing different here? Receive? I don't get it. This is a string. This is missing a weight. I get that. If you spot the problem, please let me know. This is a string, right? Maybe it's time to take a break. Append path segment. I literally have no idea what's going on here. Isn't this exactly the same example? And this one? Oh, this one doesn't work either? So what's the magic? What is going on here? Append path segment. Right, I'm using the wrong method. Dum-da-dum. So let's get rid of this. I think what I'm looking for is, there we are. Not receive, but get. I just want to directly get that. Receive is when you're working with the entire content stream, something like that. Get JSON async, so we can move this back in. This is gonna go away. There we go, append. And now it should be happy here. Now we have it. So now what I'm getting back is, in my case, it's just an object. And of course I have to map this to something. What else can we get in here? Get bytes, get string, get stream. Yeah, so I think what we're going to do here is following. Let's get in. Let's get there. And we say we take this puppy here, and there's an extension that I installed here in Visual Studio where I can turn JSON into C# files, if I can find it. Insert advanced. There's Control Q, right? JSON. JSON. Paste JSON as classes. There it is. Boom. So here's what it did. It just pasted whatever I had in the clipboard. It pasted it right in there. Well, that's of course not what I want. Let's fix that. I'm gonna move all of this here. Move all of this. I'm gonna put this Solar helper. Let's maybe add a new file here. This is gonna be Solar Edge DTOs. Add this in there. So what do we have here? A root object which contains a site current power flow. Okay. So the root object would be current power flow root. That contains a sub object in there, it seems, which is the current power flow. I'm going to rename this here. Current power flow. And that property here is just name it the same. Power flow. What did it do now? Public current. Come on. Kidding me. Current power flow. Now it's happy. So I've got this here. Update. I wonder what this one is. It didn't say in documentation. Update refresh rate. Just said 3 seconds, 3 minutes. No idea. Unit connections. What is grid? So what did it do there? It mapped Connections is a list of connections. And this one here is, so they are not different ones. They are always status and current power. So this is, we don't need this. This is all the same that we have here. So they can go away there. And this one here is, what is that called? So grid, load, and solar PV, that would be, is that a power element? I don't know. Power source? Let's look, what do we have here? It doesn't really say. Just a status, current power. Is this just power data? I don't know. Power data, and this is gonna be grid, lowercase that load, that would be, I probably gotta add some JSON properties there, and that is solar. Okay. So let's add these in here. JSON property. So this was called load, right? This here was called PV, and this one was called grid. Then we have to, connections is called connections. So I mapped these three here, and site current power flow, that is this one here. Site current power flow. I wonder why they made all of these uppercase and the other one is mixed casing, but anyway. Yeah, and they are all properties. Update, is this all lowercase in there? Update refresh rate. So let's fix that too. So this is update refresh rate here. This one here is unit. This one here is status. And this one here is current power. This one is from, and the last one is to. See, now I ended up adding them everywhere. Now I can start renaming them to hello, from current power, status, solar, these are connections, unit, update refresh rate. Now we have it. Let's remove this puppy here. And now we can tell it over there in the solar help us that it's supposed to receive this as a current power flow root object here. And that's what we should get. Configure weight false. And then current power flow. I don't think I need to return this one here, right? I'm only interested in the inner one, current power flow. Let's just return that. Let's return result dot current power. Go on, current power flow. That's it. Let me see if this still builds, and then we're going to add a test, and then I gotta call it a day because got a meeting coming up. Build succeeded. All right. Test Explorer, let's go in there. Test sources, let's make sure. Get solar, why do I keep on writing solar? Get solar, current power should return valid values. Guess that describes it. Now we need a solar helper in here. And that now wants an installation ID, which we have over there. 414683. There we go. Now it wants the key. Gotta hide this from you. And well, we're not gonna have a logger. Once we have that, we can go with solar helper dot get current power async. Await that. And current power dot, I don't know, dot grid dot, what do we have in there? See, I have no idea what that should say. Solar HDTOs. What should the grid say? Current power dot status. What does the status say? Is it active? Is it active, right? Status should be active. I guess that's good enough. Should be equal. Should be active. And it's going to be interesting. How am I going to do that? I think I'm gonna hide this from you, and then I'll run it and remove it and see what it does. There we go. Let's go over there. That in there. I am going to do the following now. I'm going to add a file here just for a second. And I'm going to remove this then. Add a new class, temp.cs. Public static. Be right back. Well, let's see what this does. I want to close that here. Oop. Main. Oh, we are. So I want to move this into a config file then, but I'm not going to do this as part of the session now. I'm going to add this afterwards. Test Explorer. Run it. Ugh. It's running it and it's red. It's red. It threw an exception. And there you got the API key. You see, I gotta change it. No matter how hard you try to hide these things, they always end up on the stream. Bummer, I gotta rotate it. Anyway, so it's not working. I gotta investigate that, but like I said, I gotta stop here and continue next time. Maybe I have some time to work on it this afternoon. and find out what is going on here, and then we'll have a second source in there. But I think I'm getting there, and if this one works, then all other JSON sources should be no-brainer because they're going to use the same pattern, and we need the registry. And once we've got the source registry, which will be really a table storage where it knows what sources are there, so we can dynamically add some. Next thing is going to be this durable method. So I think next time all of the sources should work. The pellets one is a bit special because it's going to run here directly on my machine, but we should end up having all of this in that registry, and maybe even in the storing the received data in the table storage. However, the next stream is not going to be next week on Thursday. It's not going to be the week after. The next one is going to be in 3 weeks because I'll be out of office for the next 2 weeks. And so I'm going to see you again in late of June. I think almost July. I'll think I'm going to make some progress until then. I'm not sure if I'm going to do everything live here, but maybe continue a bit on this. And then yeah, maybe we even look at the creating the static website, because I have absolutely no idea how to do that. So that's it for now. Thanks everybody for attending, longer than expected, and see you soon. Bye-bye.